For the past few weeks, we've been talking about LUNR stock, and today or yesterday, it moved about 40%. So moves like this don't seem to come out of nowhere. We've definitely been talking about it for a while, and we've seen the stock get some momentum. And a lot of these moves were happening before people started paying attention. We were looking at what most investors were seeing a sell down here and getting discouraged. We were looking at some of the deals they signed. We were looking for a potential jump from $9 a share, the opportunity to jump up to about $15 a share and continue this trend. LUNR is a good example of how this takes place. A lot of times, you find stocks early before institutions do, and it takes time for them to develop. And we're actually positioning for a lot of different trades like this. If you guys want to tune on in during the holiday, we'll also be trading live Monday through Friday, so you can watch these decisions as they happen. LUNR has been one of our positions we've been in for a bit here. If you want to see the entries and the exits, those are available in Stockmate. It's the second link in the description below. And successful investing definitely isn't about chasing the hype. A lot of people were getting discouraged here around $7.50 a share when they pulled down from that $14 price point. Quite the volatility. And then we see them jump about 66% up to this $15 price point. So in one day, they jumped 37%, a very large surge. And what is the reasoning behind this? Well, Rocket Lab was up, Redwire was up 18% on Friday, and Rocket Lab actually was surprisingly one of the companies that signed a nearly billion-dollar deal this past week. So that was big for them. Redwire, they got a $2.6 billion deal they're a part of, and they're still only at $1 billion market cap. They might have surged a little bit higher than that, about an extra 100 million on Friday. But Black Sky was up. You see AMD, which they're supplying the chips for Starlink, they were doing good, along with Planet Labs. They had some great earnings. Amentum and some others doing quite well. And so LUNR had some deals. Let's go through it. So the space tech market right now, number one, is seeing a lot of growth as a result of government spending, and because this is the first time in history that most of these space companies are actually having good revenue. They're having positive revenue, and they're seeing money for the first time that a lot of times they haven't seen that type of revenue. And so with a company like LUNR, let's pull up their stock. They're called Intuitive Machines. Their financials have been hovering fairly low around 1.5 billion. Now they're up to 2.6 billion after Friday. But they have revenues of around 50 million a quarter, which is fairly stable over the last few years. You do see their revenue jump from 40 million a year to as high as 228 million a year. And you can kind of see a little bit of a hockey puck, but unfortunately they had a negative net income alongside their increase in revenue. However, when we get into their last quarter, when they reported earnings, they came in with 52 million in revenue with just a negative net income of 10 million. So their net income actually got a lot better, which means that they are operating their space company in a way that other companies are saying, hey, we want to get our product up into space. Hey, we want to see how we can build our own space stations, or how can you move our products from the moon or from here to the moon. So they actually specialize in different machines that are able to land on the moon, and they have some partnerships with NASA and some others. But in their pursuit of being a space company that's right on the frontier and trying to compete with the likes of Redwire, even Rocket Lab, or get in a conversation with SpaceX, they're still only 1/100th the market cap size. They're still small. So there's a lot of risk involved, but we like them because of the infrastructure that they build. They also saw an increase in their total assets up to 750 million. So just to truthfully look at the increase in their total balance sheet, their liabilities have gone up a little bit, which is not so good. That's 122% increase on their liabilities. But they jumped in total assets about 235%, which indicates that they're growing more. So when it comes down to why we even take a chance on this company when they were recently selling down and why we invested in them, it came down to looking at some of the products that they're developing. along with the intuitive, no pun intended, because their company's called Intuitive Machines, but intuitive approach to their space tech. Because ultimately, when I'll tell you a story. When I first started investing in companies like AMD or Starlink or Nvidia, um, or any other companies, Apple, a lot of times it started with something that you saw, right? It started with something that you see firsthand. If you are getting Amazon packages, you might buy Amazon stock. If you're here in Latin America and you're getting Mercado Libre packages, you might want to invest in the company of Mercado Libre. I used to, for example, see that there was satellites. I could see the stars very clearly in California. So I would always see these satellites going over. I said, what are all these satellites doing up in the space? Because you can kind of see them way up. I have pretty good vision. I got 20/15 vision, which was good. They said when I went to the doctor, or the eye doctor, they said that I had the best eyesight that they'd seen in like 15 years. I'm not saying that to brag, because I actually have made some while I have good eyesight, I also miss things all the time, like the keys on the counter. But when it comes to, the story of finding these companies, I've seen a lot of people that are starting to look at the infrastructure around the nearby planets, obviously Mars. I have some friends that work at Rocket Lab and SpaceX, that I grew up with. And they tell me that the infrastructure that they're building is essentially allowing us to have the ability to expand to other systems. And so what does that mean? Well, this company specializes in infrastructure. So you can see some of their missions for landing infrastructure here on the moon. So they have a few different setups. Okay, they got the IM-2 mission, okay, for a leap forward in lunar exploration, and they are partnered with NASA for this mission. And they also specialize in lunar transmissions from the moon and satellite constellations. So this is interesting, because when you're thinking about the growth of the human race, I think this is a super fascinating space to look at. Once again, no pun intended, but it's an interesting forefront to be watching. And the reason why is because, believe it or not, before you are where you are in the world, there was a time where humans were on a trek to get to where you're living now. Whether it was across the mountain range, across the ocean, humans went through places. So when we're looking at a company like this, personally, this is more the emotional side, the story, the novel side of the company. I love that stuff. But again, back to the financials, you see that their revenues are increasing year over year, that their cash is up to nearly $1 billion, and their market cap's only at 2.6 billion, which isn't so bad. And then we see them surge. So let's get into the profit here. We do have some entries on LUNR around $11 a share that we got in back here, a little bit high back in May. We've been holding the company, and now we are up in the Schwab portfolio. And this company has surged back up to $15 a share, and then just jumped down to $14.91. So I can see they definitely have a resistance here, right around a previous resistance, around what seems to be about $14 a share, $14.50. You got a previous resistance level, which oftentimes previous resistance will act as a support. It's going to hold. And you got a resistance level, literally, at about $15 here. And what is that? 15.20, a resistance level there. So they just made this run. They're continuing up. Perfect bull scenario is that they bull out of this, continue to surge up to that $20 range, similar to the trend that we had back here in December and into January of 2025. However, now that they're at a resistance, could expect maybe some near-term corrections with a huge day like we saw on Friday of 40% in a day. It's possible you see them sell back down to that 14.50 somewhere in here, or even back down to this EMA, this blue line, around $14 a share before continuing up, or that they get rejected and they slowly continue to build their market cap, and that conservatively they sell back down to $12 or $9. Now, I don't know that we're going to see that. Been waiting for this company to get back into that $15 to $20 range for a couple months now, and we've seen it get there. And when we trade it short term, like on a day trade or anything like that, this is what we love to see, is the breakout moments. So if we see a continuation, next level of resistance that would be in their bull trend would be this trend up to about $20 a share. So that's what we'll be watching into this next week. Now, one thing to note, let's just verify some of these levels. I'm going to jump into the Prophecy app, and I'm going to use LUNR and search it up and get some analysis here. So the Prophecy app allows you to search any stock and select any AI model that has the newest and latest AI model that's available. So you can go and click into Grok or OpenAI or Claude or Gemini and get the analysis right now so that you can speed everything up. You don't have to spend time building your whole analysis strategy. You don't have to spend time just going through all the financials and spending all the technical analysis time that you normally could save and spend time with family or build your portfolio that is supposed to do what you want it to do, which is make you money. Then that's why we designed Prophecy. So Prophecy gives us the next projections here. We're selected with the Grok model, which is fine. It's using X real-time data and all of the data we give it. And you can see some of the projections here. Over the next hour or so or into this next day, it's actually anticipating a little bit of a pullback, as we just mentioned, after that big surge that it had recently. It's anticipating a slight sell down. It looks like that nearest support that it's anticipating is around $14.50 or around $14 a share, which makes sense. That's actually what we said. Isn't that what we said? Yeah, $14 a share. Then when we look at the resistance, it's saying potentially the big resistance would be up to $20 a share. $20 a share is quite the surge from here. But again, that's just over the next day here. Get into the next day and into the next week here, a little bit of a slight correction potential, but then we're looking bullish over the next month. According to Grok, at least with all the data that we gave it, and we could kind of look at the insiders as well and see how that looks. How do the insider tradings look along with the institutions? Looks like there's been more buys than sells. BlackRock has been buying. Vanguard has been buying. State Street did sell there. Bank of America buying. But overall, more buys than sells. When Grok is analyzing this, it says this may be a institutional interest stock, which we know that. That's why we've been following it when it was much smaller until today. And then on the insider side, a few more sells than buys here. Just a few more sells. But the buys that have come in seem to be big. They seem to be large purchased orders. So when you look at the next 6 months of the next year, targets are as high as $17 to as high as $20 a share when projecting into 2026. So this is quite the bullish outcome. And again, as long as these companies continue to build out their infrastructure in space and the commercialization continues with companies like SpaceX and others, you'll most likely see the space market continue to rally and do what they do best, which is provide more technological innovations for the human race. And yeah, that's what's going on. So again, slight pullback anticipated over the next hour. Watch out. But in that move, when that happens, that's exactly what we look for at market open. So why we want to look for that is because that's exactly when market open is usually when the direction is determined in the morning. And so if you'd like to see us find those opportunities at market open, again, StockMate limited time offer. You get lifetime access to our daily live trading Monday through Friday. You get an email in your inbox about 15 minutes before the market opens. When you receive your email, it'll take you to the live session. It's at market open, 6:30 a.m., pretty early if you're in California, but I'm not there right now. So if you're on the East Coast, you get to sleep in. But you also get a free t-shirt and the opportunity to get in on access with the Prophecy app on the next page after getting into StockMate. So again, would love to see you there at market open. Watch my entries, watch my exits, and join 30 plus individuals with a mindset. There's a mindset book there, but with a net worth of over seven figures in our live sessions. Again, it's the second link down below. Appreciate you all. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down below on LUNR stock, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.